Hello everyone and welcome to the Carcode YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name's Sam. Make sure to hit subscribe down below for all the latest new car content. Today I got a very exciting video and it's this. I'm reviewing the Alpine A290, the hot hatch based on the award-winning electric Renault 5. First of all, a huge thanks to the Northern group of motoring writers who have recently joined, and to Renault UK for putting on this event. So unfortunately my microphone just didn't want to work for this section, so I was just talking about the exterior design of the A290, the different colours you can get, etc. I was noting a few other highlights of the vehicle. I really like the side scoop on the rear door. That's something different from the Renault 5. There's quite a few sportier accents on the Alpine versus the 5, so it's quite nice to see they've actually added some unique elements like the little rally inspired LED daytime running lights, which are really cool. The unique alloy wheels. This one had these snowflake full diamond cut alloy wheels on. As standard, most of the range comes in the square alloy wheels, which are not my favourite. On the GTS it comes in the gloss black snowflake alloys, and you can also get this snowflake half diamond cut as well. Optional wheels are £550 on the vehicle. All alloys on the Alpine are 19 inches up from the 18s on the Renault 5, and they're all wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport tyres, which is fantastic, with the performance models having the Pilot Sport 5 tyres. They also all have the little A29 on the tyre as well, so they've actually been developed specifically for this car, which is quite special. But what I'm desperate to find out, and what I'm sure you want to know, is how the A290 drives, so let's take it for a spin. So obviously they all ride on 19, so bumps are quite firm on the vehicle, as you'd expect. Okay, so there is the performance variants like this, and there's the non-performance variants. The performance variants, whee! I've got 217 brake horsepower, with the non-performance variants having 177. Your non-performance in the case of the GT and GT Premium, and then you have the performance models, the GT Performance and this top spec GTS. This one will get you from 0 to 62 in 6.4 seconds, 300 Newton meters of torque, and the slower models in 7.4 seconds, and 285 Newton meters of torque. No, on paper that's not the fastest EV out there, but in practice, it puts a smile on your face for sure. It's actually a lot of fun. That's because it's not lightweight, but it's under 1.5 tons, so it's like similar weight to a normal hatchback. It's very agile as well. Of course, custom suspension compared to the Renault 5. It feels a bit more solid actually than the Renault 5, and more premium inside too. It's not the most refined, but it's that kind of stripped back, fun hot hatch feel. This has got the telemetrics as well, which all the performance models have. It tells you a bit more about the performance sides of the vehicle, and it also allows you to do lap times, etc. So a little bit of fun. You can opt for that on the non-performance models. Regen's nice and strong, which is good. We've got auto hold too, which is fantastic. This is your regen here. So it goes down, that's the less regen, and then that's your strongest regen there. As I say, as you'd expect, let's not break the speed limit, it corners very well. On the A65 now, which is one of my favourite roads just for winding round, it's a lot of fun. Not really if you get stuck behind things, but it can be quite fun, this road, for these dips. And this car does it very well. The regen's nice as well because you're not actually using your physical brake that much, so it's really easy to use. You've also got this OV button, which is for overtake, and that means you can access the full power without having to put your foot flat to the ground. So I press this OV button, there we go, just gives you that little boost of power. Overtake thing, you can hold it down. There we go. That's a bit mad. Yeah, you can hold that down and give yourself a little bit more boost. If you just hold it once, it just gives you a little bit. That's quite weird. A little bit of a gimmick, but it does look very sports car-like. And then you've got your drive modes on this one: normal, sport, and personal, and save, which is more like a eco mode. A sport, I can't notice a massive difference actually. I've just been driving it in normal and it's been perfectly nippy enough for me. It feels faster than the on-paper figures suggest, actually. It deals with corners very well. It feels very nimble, which is good. 57% of the weight's on the front axle and 43% on the back. Supposed to give it a more playful hot hatch feel. And they're all front wheel drive, of course, which is quite nice when you see a lot of rear wheel drive electric cars now. So this is kind of proper back to basics in a way. Hot hatches, it's got that kind of vibe. It's that nice small square boxy shape, but it's electric. National speed limit again, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you get that torque steer definitely where it kind of wiggles about a bit. It's quite playful. In the wet, that might be quite interesting, but you do have very good Michelin Pilot Sport tyres on the vehicle, which is great. The A290 ones, which are developed for the vehicle. On the performance models, you have the Michelin Pilot Sport 5s, which are a flagship tyre, very good, known for their grip and performance and handling. So great to see they put some premium tyres on. And of course, it's French. Michelin, Alpine, it just makes so much sense. You do have the 9-speaker sound system on the premium models, so on GT Premium and GTS, so that's really good. It's a 615 watt sound system with a subwoofer as well, so it should provide really good sound. And then the GT and GT Performance is just a 6-speaker system. You've of course got Google integrated into the nav as well, which is really handy and easy to use. How about range on the A290? Well, you won't be surprised, at performance car, it will be less than what you get on a normal Renault 5, that's for sure. So what does that translate to? Well, on the non-performance models, you get WLTP range of up to 236 miles, and the performance models up to 226 miles. So you're losing 10 miles with that performance motor. So 226 miles isn't awful, but this is meant to be a fun weekend car or daily commute car, and that will be a good range for most people. In the real world, we're still at 100% battery, even though I've been flooring it for a few miles. And it's reading 181 miles range, but it will calculate it based on how you're driving, your driving style, etc. You should be able to get 200 miles if you're driving carefully in this sort of conditions. And in the winter time, 170 hopefully. So it's not the longest range vehicle, but it's designed as a nippy novelty vehicle. Charging the A290 is pretty easy with this charge flap at the side of the vehicle. It does have 11 kilowatt charging as standard, which is fantastic to see. That means you can fully charge it on 11 kilowatts in under 6 hours, or on a 7 kilowatt home wall box, it'll take 8.5 hours to fully charge, which isn't too bad overnight, nice and easy. Fast charging is capable of 100 kilowatt DC type fast charging. That'll mean 15 to 80% will take 30 minutes. So it's not the fastest out there, but for smaller vehicles like this, that's about normal. And mostly you should be charging it at home anyway to save those pennies. You've got 360 sensors, which is very handy on a rear camera. This is really great, the Google system built in. Google Maps on there, Google Assistant, DAB radio, and you've also got the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless too, which is great. This is standard, so it's a great system to have on the vehicle. It's not really intrusive with any safety things either, which is nice, and you can really easily turn them all off as well with the touch of a button, which is really nice. So the Renault just puts everything on this circle button here, which is safety perso. So you can reset your safety personal to what you want, and then you just press that one button and it just changes it to what you want, which is great. So that's one button press, which most cars you've got to press at least 2 things to turn anything off. This is not mega intrusive. It doesn't have a driver attention thing pinging at me all the time, so it's quite nice. In that way, it's got a good old school vibe to it, that it's letting you drive the car and it's not controlling you, which is the last thing you want in a fun hot hatch. You've kind of got a motor noise, that's the sound of the motor, so it's not the most sporty noise. It is still fun, but I really do like the noise on the Puma Jenny actually, that's got kind of an engine grunty noise. I really like that, but it's more just of an electric noise, but it feels quite light on its feet. You've got that stiffer chassis as well, so corners very nicely, little roll in the corners. It's really nice. It's a very planted vehicle, which is good. It's nice and narrow as well. It doesn't feel massive. You do sit a bit higher up than a normal hatch. It's not an SUV, it's still a hatchback, but it's kind of very boxy. But you still have a low center of gravity thanks to the batteries, which is great. So it doesn't feel like you're on stilts or that you're rolling anywhere at all. It's very planted and grounded. The steering wheel's quite chunky, but it's got a thinner section. It's not the worst I've held. It's comfortable. The seat position's nice. You get this armrest as well. It's nice. The materials are really nice too. That's a lot nicer, that material, than the Renault 5. It does seem a little bit more refined than the Renault 5, just a tiny bit quieter. The materials are nicer in the cabin, so that'll obviously like help soak up a bit. It's a bit more plasticky in the Renault 5, so it's definitely built more to a cost the Renault 5. It's got a premium edge to it, so you've got the lovely leather, and the Napa leather seats are lovely. So there's nice premium touches there, but it's not a premium car, if that makes sense. Quickly, this is the premium interior that you get in a GT Premium or GTS, with the Napa leather in the white and the navy, which looks fantastic, with Alpine on the headrests. You just get navy cloth on the GT and GT Performance, but this feels nice and special for sure, and it's a nice cut above the Renault 5 interior, which is also very nice, but this is just that next level up. The Renault 5 itself is a great car, and it's a lot of fun too, but this kind of takes it to the next level. Of course, what's the trade-off? Well, it's quite expensive, but it's meant to be that more special feeling car, which it definitely is. Regen's nice and strong. It's not full one pedal, but it's pretty good. Yeah, it just has that very planted feel. You don't feel skiddiness going around corners, which is nice. So you've got that confidence to go around the corners at a nice progressive speed. Rear camera with the guidelines is quite handy. Not the most HD, but it doesn't matter. It gives you everything you need. And the 360 sensors are the main benefit. You don't have a park button, you just have to put the handbrake on. You do of course still have the very strange Renault media controls, but it is at your fingertips, so that's handy. And something that I really appreciate is the gear selector is now buttons, which I actually quite like. So that's inspired by the A110, which is quite nice instead of having that stalk, which I'm not a big fan of on the Renault 5, so that's a nice touch. It does mean you miss out on cup holders, but what would be a fun car without a bit of lack of practicality? The rear design is great, and you've got the GTS badge on this model. If we look in the boot, as you'd expect, exactly the same as the Renault 5, 326 litres, which isn't as big as a 385 you get on a Cupra Born, but it's much bigger than its main two competitors, the Mini Cooper SE, which only has 211 litre boot, and the Abarth 500e, which only has 185 litres. So compared to those two cars, it's pretty big. It's nice and deep as well and wide. It reminds me of the old Scirocco boots. Plenty of room for cables, etc. And as is the case with the boot, back seat is exactly the same as Renault 5 as well. You got the same square headliner, same seats, but in obviously more premium materials. Knee room, not much, but it is soft, so you can kind of squish in a bit more. And headroom, not too bad because it's nice and boxy. It's not massive in the back of here. It's quite boxy outside. You might think you've got a lot of space back here, but it's not huge. So I'm quite comfortable here. I'm about 5'8". This is my driving position. But if you were 6 foot, it would be a bit of a squeeze back here. How's the middle seat? Well, the middle seat's actually very comfortable in the Renault 5 and in the Alpine A290. Because you've got no central armrest, it's nice and squishy on the back, and the bases too. So that's great. You've got ISOFIX points on the outer seats as well. So, should you consider the Alpine A290 as your next car? Well, it's a nice premium spin on a Renault 5 with that sporty edge. It's certainly a lot of fun to drive. Is it worth almost £40,000? Well, that is a lot of money and could get you into something a bit more of a substantial size. But then this is a unique vehicle and it's got a unique case, hasn't it? It's quite a niche car and something that's quite special. So it's definitely got that appeal to it. So if you have it on your list of potential company cars, it could definitely be a nice choice, which will be nice on your wallet for your company car tax and running costs, but also a nice fun little thing to drive around in. So leasing, it could be a great option. Or if you're in the market for a niche fun car for the weekends, this could also be a really nice option. Thanks again to the Northern Group of Motoring Writers and to Renault UK for making this video possible. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope to see you in my next one.